Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the World Pathways Celebration 2023. My name is Dr. Jayne Downey, and I am delighted to welcome you to a really fun hour of celebration. Now, just for a little bit of context, Rural Pathways and the work that you've been doing, the work that we're doing here, is part of a much bigger picture. Right now, across our country, there are 9.5 million rural kids in classrooms. That's 20.7% of all of the kids, students in our country are in rural schools and being taught by rural teachers. And the work that you've been doing is you're in good company. There are almost 1 million rural teachers in our country and at work right now with those rural kids. And today we want to celebrate all of the strengths, all of the assets of rural schools and their communities, and your work as prospective rural teachers. So we're really glad that you're here to celebrate and to have these conversations together about why this work is so important and it's such a cool way to make a difference. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague and all of our friend, Dr. Joe Hicks and Dr. Marcie Reuer.
Thank you so much, Jayne. Before I begin, I just want to say thank you to all our rural partner schools. It really is a testament to their generosity in opening their schools, to our pre-service teachers, to really ensuring that they're such gracious hosts when we visit their communities, and to all of our pre-service teachers that are in the room today and elsewhere that have been able to contribute to this effort of generating that awareness and that support for our rural schools across the state of Montana. Really excited to report of just the tremendous work of our team, resulting in 83 pre-service teachers contributing to 22 schools and communities across the state this semester alone. Is really starting to make a huge impact across 4 really intentionally designed rural experiences, providing an opportunity, a choice for our pre-service teachers for each year of their time in our undergraduate program to experience rural and to be a part of this really special experience. To give you an overview, the first experience is embedded in our EDU 101 teaching and learning course, and that's referred to as the Rural Teaching Exploration. And we had 37 pre-service teachers take part in that this semester alone. And with that, it provides an opportunity for our first semester, second semester students to be able to prepare a STEAM-based activity with the support of our various faculty, staff, and resources that we have here on campus to go out into the schools and to be able to deliver that to students and to really get that on-the-ground experience working with kids in their first semester at MSU. And in looking at just the reflections from the students, 2 themes really emerged. One is almost without exception, students addressed how misconceptions that they had about rural schools prior to, and even after hearing about, right? We front load that and talk about it in the course, but to actually see it in person completely turn that to the actual reality of just the vibrant community that they're in, along with their opportunity to really get a chance to be reaffirmed in education, and that this is kind of the profession they want to be a part of. The second experience comes in the form of the Rural Teaching Discovery, and this is something that allows our students to be able to have a 3 to 4 day immersive experience in communities across the state. This past fall, we were in Glasgow and Nashua, we were in Big Timber and White Sulphur Springs, and our students are able to be not only in classroom time with students, but also in the after-school programs typically, and so in a 3 to 4 day they get to see school from start to finish in their content, grade level area, and to really be able to kind of reflect early on in this early field experience what it means to be a rural educator. The third experience is a rural teaching practicum. And this is something that we now offer both in the fall and the spring. And this past fall, we have 20 of our pre-service teachers in central Montana, working with 7 communities across Fergus County, as well as Hobson, And that experience not only gives them a pre-visit where we go up there for a day, it's a tremendous sight to see the caravan of rental cars trekking up, to, in this case, Lewistown area. And to be able to then get to know their cooperating teacher and the students they'll be working with and the community. And then we go back about a month later and kind of plan virtually, leading up to it for a whole week. And it really is intended to not only introduce them to the school, but to really have a full sense of the community with all the social activities and programming that involves. And then finally, we have our rural student teaching, and we support in a couple of ways. One is we support our student teachers that are in rural parts of the state with fellowship stipends to be able to kind of offset cost of living and otherwise, as well as our rural student teaching pod. And so with both of these experiences, we actually assign a rural navigator who is someone who is kind of 1 degree removed from the course and maybe from kind of the formal interactions to just be a resource there to support our teacher candidates in a rural setting. The student teaching pod also offers multiple visits that Marcie Reuer leads to be able to really kind of at different key points in the semester to kind of take a break, experience in the community, celebrate with cooperating teachers and administrators in the community with kind of collective dinner and otherwise to really kind of reinforce in that appreciation that we have for that experience. It really helps to build that sense of family that we're really aiming for with this collective 4 very integrated experiences. And so with that, I want to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Marcie Reuer, to speak to new portion of this, which kind of comes before the undergraduate experience regarding kind of the high school component known as the bridge.
Great, thank you so much, Joe. We actually have seen a need amongst our high school students in terms of transitioning to college. Sometimes coming to MSU can be a scary step to take if you come from a very small town or a Class C school. So our goal with the Rural High School Bridge to College is to create a supportive community for our high school students that are hoping to be rural educators. And we have a number of different components to this that we're developing with Stefan Schreibeis, Superintendent of Glendive. The first one is our Future Rural Educators online community. So this is going to be open to any high school students across the state that want to be a teacher. There's going to be leadership skills development, help with navigating some of the trickier parts of coming to post-secondary, like securing financial aid or applying for scholarships. We will also give that population of students an opportunity to come to a summer camp experience where they will get to work alongside practicing teachers doing day camp, as well as get introduced to the community of Bozeman. And if they should choose to come to MSU, our final step is going to be having a living and learning community where all of our great leadership that we have with our students who have participated in pathways they can act as peer mentors to bring up the next generation of future rural educators. Okay, so now we are going to turn it over to 2 of our amazing participants in Pathways. Our first person to speak is going to be Jessica Tracy. She's going to talk to you a little bit about the Rural Student Teaching Pod. And then we've got Signe West, who's going to talk about going back to White Sulphur to teach and some of her experiences that she's had to lead her up to that point.
Great, Jessica. My name is Jessica, and I just wanted to talk to you about the Student Teaching Pod that's happening in Lewistown, Montana, starting in the spring. It's a really great opportunity. I was super interested in it just because there's a lot of support from Dr. Reuer and Dr. Hicks. It's just, fantastic. There's easy to apply. A lot of support from other students within the pod, too, so there's lots of different people working together to just support each other in those rural communities. One of the main things that stood out to me about that rural student teaching pod is that everyone involved in it is super passionate about rural education. So from the professors that host it, all the way through the school districts that you work with, everyone just is really, really interested and very supportive in that realm. So you get to grow deeper connections with your classmates as well. There's a lot of you stationed within a few school districts. So, for Lewistown, for example, there's Grass Range, Hobson, a lot of different communities. And so we all get to be up there together, which is, I think, a really, really amazing thing, especially as we do our student teaching. You get to meet those different administrators. So there's lots of dinners already that have happened where we get to meet our classmates, administrators, and their cooperating teachers. So it's a great networking for all of us as well. And then just along with that rural setting, it's just a very tight-knit community where everyone is very welcoming and very supportive and happy that you're there and really supports you through that whole process.
Hi, I'm Signe West, and I'm going to talk about the rural pathway that led me to choose to rural student teach. So I'm from White Sulphur Springs, which is rural, but I've learned through this that rural encompasses a lot of different things. So for Practicum 1, I was in Glendive, and I went into it thinking, Glendive can't be rural. I graduated with 12 kids, and I was honestly pretty intimidated. My CT was Breon Berg, and she is amazing. And I walked away feeling like this is where I belong. I belong in education. Glendive has multiple schools, I think 3 or 4, I'm sorry, don't quote me. But I felt like the school that I was at, Jefferson, was such a team. And they have about 5 per grade level, and everyone was welcoming, everyone was amazing, and that was the small town feel that I really want as an educator. So Glendive was what really opened the door for me. So along with our rural placement, we also have a local placement. My local placement was really unique in the fact that I was placed at Mount Ellis for both Prac 1 and Prac 2. Along with that, I was with the same CT, so I was in a joint first and second grade classroom, so I had some of my kiddos twice, and I absolutely loved it. This card you can't really see, but it says, "You are the best step teacher we've ever had," and that just melted my heart. This year we went to Reuer, and man, that woke me up. That opened my eyes. I had 6 kids, K1 and 2. The kids were amazing, and it was such a fun experience. A K-12 school, and I just learned so much again about the family feel of a small school, and I'm so thankful for my 2 very different placements, but also I just left feeling the same again. I felt so whole. And so that led me to decide to go back home for student teaching. I'm going to go to White Sulphur Springs. I am really looking forward to it, and I feel like I'm much better prepared. I learned a lot in my local placement, but I know I took away a lot from my rural placements as well, and I feel like that I'm better prepared for my student teaching because of that. So yeah, that was my rural teaching. This was us this semester. And another thing that the rural pathway has given me is relationships that I did not have before, whether that's administrators, other teachers, especially students here. The community that is built around the rural pathway is amazing. My rural practicum class is my absolute favorite. We are all so close. We drive Marcie crazy, and Wendy and Jordan are just along for the ride every Wednesday, and it's the best. So I just really can't express how grateful I am for this experience and how excited I am that I have it to take me in my future. So up next, a much better speaker, I'm sure, Stefan Schreibeis, the superintendent from the Glendive schools.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stefan Schreibeis. I'm superintendent at Glendive Public Schools. Can you get out your phone right now and link up to this thing? This should take you right to a Mentimeter that we're going to be using here in a second. And so there will be another opportunity to put this in. But if you can get to there real quickly, you should see a screen very similar to the one I have with beautiful Makoshka State Park in the background. That is located in Glendive. If you didn't know, we have the biggest state park in Montana. It's pretty cool. So there will be another opportunity to get there if you didn't. But I am the superintendent in Glendive. This is my motto, be a splicer. I really feel like my role in this earth is to join people together. And that's why I'm in education. At the end of my life, I talk about a goal one day, but at the end of my life, I want to be able to say that I did these things: value people, believe in people, and unconditionally love people. I think it's really important. That's why you guys are all sitting here in this educational realm. I'm part of Maxwell Leadership. I love leadership, and so I love to be able to serve other people. And this is why I do what I do. This is my family. It's a little older pictures, but it truly is the legacy. And in education, you'll hear me talk about this towards the end of this, that everything you do is really about that legacy and why you're doing this. And so I'm going to have you switch to your phones now, and I'm going to ask you some questions. So if you didn't, I want to know right away. It should change on your phone, did it? Okay, so just put in here. I just want to see the makeup of this room. This is just going to kind of help me tailor some things as we go. But I figured we would have more MSU students than others. And so pretty cool engagement. If you don't know Mentimeter yet, it's a really cool way to get people interacting and so forth. So you might not have enough time to enter yours. That's okay. At the top, you can still join. The code's up there. But I'm going to kind of move on. So what are the first 3 words that describe rule teaching to you? That's what I want to know. And this is it's going to produce a word cloud for us as to what that looks like for the people here. Relationships, I love that this word came up first. It has 3 words there. You can just do 1 and hit enter. It's okay if you can't think of anything, just put 1 in, hit submit. It should allow you to do more. And so you see that this word cloud comes up, relationship, community support. There's so many different things that rural education is all about, and it's a pretty amazing experience. And you heard from a couple students about their experiences so far. And so the next question I want to ask is this: how would you rate your ability to manage a classroom full of energetic students? From I'd rather herd cats to I've mastered herding cats. So I want to see where you fit on this scale here. So it looks like we have some pretty good herding cat abilities in this room. And anytime I talk to a kindergarten teacher, I'm always saying it's like herding cats. So, so rank these items for the ultimate rural teacher survival kit. What would you rank first, second, third, fourth, and fifth? So coffee thermos with infinite refill capacity, multi-tool with a chalkboard, eraser attachment, emergency stash of chocolate, GPS that recognizes dirt roads, a pocket-sized weather manipulator. Now, these are kind of jokes, right? I mean, this isn't quite what rural education is all about, but it does provide interesting experiences. And every single person that has been in a rural school understands that, and it's education in general. Okay, so this screen's going to stay up on your phone. You do not have to answer this right now, but I do want, before you leave, to answer this question. So small actions create great change. And so what I want to know from you is what's one small action that you will take after today to better yourself as a teacher leader. Okay. But rural teaching is hard sometimes, and this is really what I view rural teaching like sometimes, where you're going after a goal and you're going down the hill, and all of a sudden you hit some kind of roadblock, right? And things just take a turn for the worse at times. Or you could be like this young lady who is trying to do the same thing and has a different experience, but still very difficult at times. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before, by the way. They actually race after a cheese wheel. It's crazy to me. But, and you'll see in this why would you do this? Why would you do this, right? So why would you race down the hill after a cheese? But it gets better, because sometimes it gets a little harder at times, and you might be like this gentleman where you're literally going and something hits you so hard it really knocks you out, and you are out the rest of the time. It's amazing. I'm really hoping that none of your experiences ever like this, but sometimes it even is like this, where everything's end over end, flipping, trying not to get injured, and ending up in the fetal position. I really hope that that is not your experiences in any side of, but this has been my last couple weeks as an administrator leading up to Christmas.
Who parked here? This is my spot! P-R-I-N-C-A-P-A-L! This is my spot! Turn off that camera, folks! Who parked here? What did you see? Confiscated. What did I say about that rainbow sweater? This is not Casual Friday, Pam. It is not Casual Friday. You're in trouble. You're in big trouble, Zach. Big trouble. No hats. Yeah, look at the wall. Look at the wall. I want my coffee! Yes, sir! Get my coffee, Pam! Get it in the middle, sir! Now! Why not before? I don't hear you walking! Good morning, students. This is Principal Wilson speaking. The junior high book drive is this Sunday. Don't forget about it. And one more thing. Whichever faculty member parked in my spot is a red hatchback. It's my spot! That's my spot! And there's a sign that very clearly reads Principal Wilson! Hi, Principal Wilson! Hi, Principal Wilson! Hi, Principal Wilson! And if you are not Principal Wilson, you are not earning! It is not your spot! Not your spot! You move that car right now, or it will be town! Don't you think I don't know what you're saying behind my back, people? Every word I hear every whisper. Oh, yes, I do! You don't think that I've earned my degree here? You think that I don't do anything? Well, guess what, people? Guess what? I earned a plaque in 1994 and ranked Teacher of the Year. Teacher of the Year! That's someone's been stealing my stapler! And then putting it back where it belongs! Someone is stealing my pencils from around the world! And I don't like it! You will that right now, or it will be sound! It will be told! Don't have a meltdown. Have a meltdown. Go Wildcats.
Hopefully you don't have experiences like that. But in all seriousness, though, education is tough at times, and it's not to say that that is going to be your experience, right? That was just kind of a way to kind of have some fun. But John Maxwell says this: everything worthwhile is uphill. Nothing that we do in life that is, everything that you want to do, education, make a difference in life, it's going to be difficult. But it's so worth it. So worth it. And so I want to tell you a quick story about a student of mine. Her name is Grace Ortiz. I taught in Nevada. I was a high school math teacher, and Grace was the hardest student that I have ever had in my life. She gave me crap from day one, and it didn't. And I was a pretty strict teacher, and so by Christmas time, though, they understood that I cared about them. Because one of the things you heard earlier about relationships, that's what it's about. And so I'd try to build a relationship, and eventually I'd get that. But it takes a while, and it's hard. It's really hard. And she was one student that I couldn't, no matter what I tried, she would not let me have a relationship. I could not get a connection with her. She tried to get out of my class. I'd call her mom. We'd have meetings. I had to keep her in class. I'm like, this is not what's good for Grace, is to get her out of the situation. And so I never got a connection with her. I ended up moving up to Missoula, where my wife was, or decided to get married. I left, and one day I got a phone call from a guy named Gary Stone. He was the English teacher down at the school I was teaching at. He's like, hey, we had this assignment that was the most influential person in in their life, and you never guess who did a presentation on you. I said, who? And he said, Grace Ortiz. I'm like, whatever, Gary. Quit messing with me, because he would mess with me. He would. And he's like, no, seriously. She did. And I'm like, wow. I still didn't believe it. Well, after my wife finished college and we went back, we got jobs back at that school. And after an event one day, a girl came up to me and she's like, are you Mr. Schreibeis? I said, yeah. And she's like, I'm Grace Ortiz's sister. I'm like, oh, how's she doing? She goes, not well. She just passed away last year of cancer. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she said, Grace talked about you all the time. And that was the moment where I realized, even at this, I would have went to my grave without knowing this, thinking I did not make a difference in the student's life. What you guys do is so important. What you're going into is so important. Yes, people can suck sometimes. And these students who are dealing with a lot of stuff, like that administrator, that mental health piece, everyone's dealing with something. and it's hard at times, but it is so worth it. These students are so worth it. The field that you're getting into is so worth it. I know a lot of people say, hey, don't go into teaching. I've been hearing that a lot. It's so hard. It is hard, but it's so worth it. You get to make a difference forever. At my college graduation, I got to talk about this. To teach is a touch of life forever, and I truly believe that to my core. Teaching is difficult, but it's so worth it. And, at the end of everyone's life, we will all have a birth date and an end date with a dash in the middle. Everyone gets the same thing. And the question is, what is your dash going to look like? That's all it's represented as, but it's way more than that. You guys are picking a field where your dash is going to have an amazing amount of influence, and it's super awesome. And hopefully, like Maya Angelou says, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. So I hope you hold on to that on the tough days, because it is everything of what we do in education. Everyone sitting in this room has a tie to education in some aspect of this. Some of you are getting into it. Some of you have been in it for a long time. And every day is difficult, and it's always different. And that's what makes it so awesome. But you all get to make a difference. And that is so cool. And just think about it this way. Any successful person has been influenced by a teacher. Every single one. You get to influence the next generation. And that is what it's all about. And so I ask you just to reflect, what is your dash going to look like? When you're getting into this, or what is your dash looking like right now? And if it's not what you want it to be, you have time to change what that looks like and make that difference. Because rural teaching, and this is about rural teaching, is so important. The relationship that you get to make, the connections, the community, all the things that you've already heard of and you guys have been hearing about for a long time. But it's amazing what gift it is to be able to do that and have that. And so I really appreciate all of what you guys are doing to kind of help the students across Montana or outside of that, depending on where you end up. But thank you for what you do, and thank you for MSU for what you guys do in this program and what you're doing, because every single one of you is making a difference, and it's going to have lasting impact. And so I really appreciate that. And I was asked to just mention at the end of this that we have a lot of rural pathway students in this room. And so we're going to take the next however long, 27 minutes or so, to kind of talk at your tables about rural education and what that looks like. And so ask questions. Don't leave this room without any of those unanswered questions in your head. There's people, there's superintendents, there's faculty, there's lots of people who will be able to answer your questions as to what it's like. Whatever that is, we would be happy to help. So thank you guys for everything. And I guess start talking your tables, right, Marcie? All right. Thank you, guys.
I can reach these kids. It's just a different way. And so I taught for 25 years. Now I've been in administration for 2 years. So my perspective is more of a teacher perspective.
We grew up in Reuer County, near Sacramento.
Right? Oh my goodness, yes. Big class where we had to all spread out, we were masked. No wonder, just do this and I'm okay. I'm okay. All right. Well, good to see you again. So, does this mean you are on the rural practicum experience?
Yeah, so I did my first rural practicum this
I went as to the emergency.
How far are they from Yellowstone? Okay. Literally, that was the first routine, and then I found this school, West Yellowstone, but then I was like, well, that entrance quizzes during winter, like things like that, and found this school and they happened to be looking for a principal. I was kind of like, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, we didn't have like lockers, we didn't have somewhere to like stay. We just would like pack up our things and go walk like a quarter of a mile to our math class, like through the woods and like over these hills and stuff. And so I thought that was like normal. And then I came here and I was like, school basically indoors. Like, that's all it is. And not saying that like indoor schools are all like bad, but that was a super difference for me to like wrap my head around that there was like even bigger schools than mine. Like I knew there were, but I was like, I'll never come into contact with them. I never thought I'd be a teacher. Yeah, but I am. So spending a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, and
Was it all semester long?
I know.
Yeah.
You go so then there's like that, you know, they grew up in a small town and they're going back to it versus it'd just be interesting to see like what percentage of people in the program start off.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Most interviews, what questions do you have? You always want to ask stuff like that, but don't be afraid of, changing it up either.
One, I mean, you're in the office. So when something happens, I have to do that. The other thing is like,
Amy Rhea is the principal of the high school, and you would be totally fine with them calling you before that, and you would show up.
so like little things like someone has to like answer the phone. So learning how to adapt to those kind of circumstances. That's the other thing is like these things is like the balance with parents and family. Like they just feel like they have more communication and have more like a say with stuff. And we do have like the ability to do that really well with stuff. We can go on field trips and stuff, and others just can't. And things like that. But it's hard to balance because they feel like, well, we can just add like everything. Like let's do this and then let's do this and this. It's like, whoa. Wait, we don't have enough like ability to do that. We need to like hold on a second, with teaching candidates or like, doing interviews and stuff, the one thing I always look for is like authenticity. I don't want to hear like a party line.
Every friend, right?
Like just very like you can tell it's not authentic.
Super connected with my parents' church in northern South Dakota. It's a very nice, very musical folks too. And I'm pretty sure his son is now there directing the symphony in Rochester.
Especially in the elementary ed, they've moved to standard-based grading. It's considerably
Yes, my sister lives in St. Paul.
It takes a little more thought and design in high school, but they did it in the elementary, and so then it's all about, well, if I've got a set of standards, well, then you see out the curriculum.
Same area code. I do know 507 area.
We've got a few things in place. Like we use a program called Plan Book, which allows the entire year to essentially be built out. So, for example, we have a 5th grade position that the teacher before had a plan book that built out the whole year. So when we have someone step into that, we can just change that profile to the new teacher, and now you have an entire plan. You can manipulate that plan. You can change it to whatever is going to be customized to your classroom, but at least you have a plan in place of activities and assessments. And then as you shift it and learn it, the plan book just moves.
So I don't know.
So if you miss a day in science posit because you have a site there, the next day you just shift everything and everything goes forward. It is different.
What's out there? And we still pay for 4th graders too. That's weird. Was it through the same grant? Actually, our school district learned
what an amazing opportunity was that they fund it now. So it's the grant. Was it but
I took it as a freshman, so we have multiple funding sources.
and now the school district just pays for it. It's such an amazing.
Yeah.
And is it just what are the
Just like, you know, I just need to find out.
Any more even tougher to they have been going online, but Americans are going online. They're not a lot of online chapters. The ones that we've been to, and international teachers, they've been a couple. So I don't know, a lot of people, I mean, you can sit 2 in the morning and research things. Everything's now. So things are shifting, and now that AI is involved, and you have, I mean, it's just, we're going to see a totally different system. What that's going to be, I don't know, because education takes forever to change. But, so you'll still see these things, but it's easy to do. Not everyone's going to have
The problem is they only live in a small place. I don't know, a lot of people think about like teaching and I don't know if I feel comfortable like knowing everybody and everybody knows my grade. It's the way I grew up, so like, I just am used to it. But I'm excited to go move around to see how the school is like. Same or changed since I was there. There's 2 more jobs that are interesting that I'm applying for quarterly. And I'll be pursuing those, but none of the schools are really even hiring.
We're not in connection.
So I'm just kind of looking for long-term studies.
Surrounding gardeners so it's not like you can just like
elementary education. So I'm registered K-8, but I like the elementary level. I don't really care between 5th grade versus like 1st grade. I'm pretty open to all of it. But right now I'm really like 5th grade.
and beyond the library.
Well,
That's fine. I did the same thing because I was at a table with just one other person, so I was like, oh, we should maybe go somewhere else.
I'm in the Science Math Research Center. So I just came to here. It's really cool.
And all of you are part of the program?
Instead of like all this is awesome. It's a rural setting where they're like, yeah, we can do things different.
And where did you go?
Still and so Glendive is still a dear friend of ours, right? Like it's a place that we moved from, and then we moved back to Minnesota. My wife ended up teaching at the school, so we just are still like incredibly dear friends. And I think our interest in rural teaching came from teaching in Cottonwood, town of 1,000, right? So which is actually big, right, for Montana. But it was hilarious. Like my students, I taught in a slightly larger community later called Redwood Falls, which is like 5,000 people, right? So, and my students always ripped on me for just Montana. Just go, if I rode a horse to school, I'd be like, no, I did not, but I have friends that did. Yeah. Right? So, yes, and I'm like,
Montana is
I'd be like, my town
that's what she said.
the size of yours.
Okay. In Southern California.
It's just like Montana.
Okay. What do they teach? They want to come around. Okay.
I'm a percussionist. Great question. So I performed in the regional state school.
And then I talked about
So I performed in that for a while.
Yeah, you definitely have to, I feel like you have to kind of dip your toe into some experience with each kind of section of thing to really see like where you're the best. Because I really felt that would have been the greatest. I mean, I'm sure I would. With teaching, it's really unique because it really depends on the person. Like, I look at my kindergarten teacher and I'm just like, I have no idea how to make you do this.
And I was like, that actually sounds like really
Kindergartners are like cute for 5 seconds.
do because of the rural and local idea. The thing that I was kind of nervous about was they were talking somebody else. It might have been John. He was like, your idea with practicum is to have really good relationships, so then you can do your student teaching with them. And that super stressed me out. Like the idea of student teaching and like where I'm going to be and like who has control over that. And so I was like, should I do rural because I'm going to be with somebody for a whole week and then somebody locally for only 5? Is that enough time to build a good relationship to do my student teaching with them? Like, is that something that I want to do? But I just kind of like went for it anyway because I like the idea of having both rural and local in one semester, especially for Easter, you only have one practicum. So I was like, okay, I can do a little bit of both in one practicum, and then maybe it'll work out to do my student teaching there. It ended up working out anyway, so it's just fine. But that was the one thing I was nervous about was that relationship and do my student teaching with that CT. But overall, what won was knowing that I'll have both experiences in one semester and knowing it will work together. So that's what it was for me. But how about first point to the scene? So we can see before we're kind of hanging out and then we jump into teaching. It'll be nice to observe for like those 2 weeks and then just jump in with the new.
Yeah, because their semesters in like mid-January, right? So they're kind of finishing up.
Yeah, so it's not as bad as you think. Yeah. Like, it goes by so fast.
So is it, how many weeks is it?
14 or 15. Yeah, I'm done before the middle of April.
15.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know, I thought that was crazy because
So it didn't add up on the calendar, never added up to it was way really 14 in my opinion. And I tried asking to make sure it wasn't just like mixed up and like I got told this is your end date and I was like, because Faith was done November 16th. So like everyone was done at such different
yeah, I saw your Be Real and you were like packing up. I was like, wow, Jessica's here.
Yes, I had heard about like the rural experience before I started talking about it. And then I don't know, I was kind of thinking about it and it was just kind of in the back of my mind. And at the end of practicum, when we're like midway through the semester, Joe came to talk to the class about it, and I was thinking, you know, like, yeah, I don't know, I consider the place that I grew up in to be rural, and so I was thinking, like, was this like be a good experience for me? Like, I grew up in a rural school, I feel like I kind of like didn't know what to expect. I don't know, and I sat and pondered, and I was like, you know what though, like, yes, I grew up in a rural school, but I have just like the one experience, and that doesn't like make it the same across the entire state of Montana or across like the nation, right? So I was like, yeah, it's in Lewistown, that's central Montana. Like, I don't spend a lot of time in central or eastern Montana, so you know, why not? And I think that's what's so wonderful about this experience is that whether you grew up in a rural community or if you grew up in an urban community, like it kind of appeals to everyone because it's just one more experience to get under your belt before you like go out and start teaching, right?
Yeah.
So that was the appeal for me anyway.
So that's a good idea. We're trying to balance like, and I think our campus isn't just that. Like the presentation today, a lot of them you can walk out to the front porch and you see the playground right from here. That kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of relationships. You know, we're going through all these things that I know, like, what they are really good at or something that really piques their interest, but you can hook that learning to prior knowledge. It takes away a lot of your behavior and a lot of other things that, you know, you have to call back. It's like, okay, you have that relationship. So that never really makes sense. Figure out how to make that connection less or like a game or another negative things because you have another way that makes sense.
Totally. Do you guys have any like tips on
Yes.
I would rather have a teacher for her
Yes.
too. You know, that's a local concept. You'll find that in every small town.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. Bozeman is a way yeah.
Oh, that's
but it's so frustrating because now we can't afford to live. Because you're taking our resources.
I started camping in Whiteside for 10 years ago. What's New Year?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So we go up to Newman, and I fell in love with that place. And on our way to Great Falls, to Coach's Clinic, I would go up there with some of my buddies on a Sunday night, Monday night, and then on Tuesday we'd back up again. And I fell in love with that place. And I started looking for one acre too. It was just something because it was undiscovered. It was just such a beautiful place. And 10 years later, I mean, it's harder and harder.
You're kicking yourself about buying something for, we just bought I say house, but it's a shack. Like, we had to drive our skid loader and back drag the garbage out. But it's like, I wouldn't move back, and there's no way that I could. Like, I can't afford to buy a house, right now. So, the real estate is so hard.
We actually, you and I looked on, we drove around every street, and we looked at all the
You're like, the trailer's falling out. It's all really
It's just a reality.
I got to share both. Yes. So.
And that's a challenge that's always existed. So my career, I taught for 6 years. I was a science teacher in agriculture in California. I did the FFA thing. And then I spent 10 years, 11 years in the Department of Education, working in FFA agricultural education. And I can tell you, in that 10 years, I had to make an extremely concerted effort to, one, stay connected to people that were in the classroom every day. Because every day that I walked away from it, I have not actually been in the classroom for now lots of tests. Every day I walk away from it, it's a different reality, and it's not what I know. Like, the students have changed in some ways, the dynamics of the school have changed. All of those things continue to change. I can tell you, when I came out as a student teacher, I felt the same way. Like, my professors are connected to what we're doing. I think that's just inevitable because it feels that way, and then you go to the school and you come back and you haven't been in the classroom forever. And that's not a criticism of the professors, it's just the nature of your teaching is really the challenge that you face. And so then you look at it, what I look at is, well, how can I step in and watch a class, or go to a class and talk to my principals and say, hey, when are you evaluating? I'd like to sit in and watch a teacher, just so that I can stay relevant to what is the challenge they're dealing with, even though it's a small school and I'm the superintendent and I'm not in there every day, and I'm not, it requires that, and it requires that in your work, because you may become a teacher, you may be saying, no, there's no way I'm going to become an administrator, but there may be a day, as I said, I was never going to be an administrator, and then there may be a day where that life changes and you choose to go a different direction, and then you'll be in the same boat of like, how do I stay relevant with it when it changes so rapidly? It's just so fast that it's not a criticism of it. It's just a change.
I don't know why Bob
and
it's just like generic.
challenge
work that makes each one class. Grade 8 was like 98, and grade 9 was 100 started. So if you are teaching composition and photo, I can't remember. Definitely should be taking work experience. But some of you don't. And it's really, that's why you have to find passion in what you do first. And I feel like the rural teaching is an opportunity for every teacher to build themselves up. It's a big thing for you to start just looking at from a rural perspective. Because for me, that's when you see all the challenges. How you beat the odds. Like, you are in a school, they don't have resources. The kids are not complying, their parents are not supportive. So it's time to experience all the challenges that you have to. And I tell you, once you're able to fit in a rural school and be successful, you can survive everything. Yeah, because I moved from a very rural school.
So in the middle of my REP lesson, and my lesson was the power was off. It's an old building, the doors are magnetized, so the doors slam shut, the lights turn off, the wind is howling. It's an old building from 1884, so the building is creaking. And then, yeah, the amount of off-task behaviors was very high at that point. So it was quite difficult to reel them back in at that point. So
it was kind of nice, like on my end a little bit.
Yeah.
What was your project?
It was basically teaching self-regulation skills and seeing if that would lower off-task behavior. So instead of, it was more of a focus on instead of having to talk to students all the time and call them out or anything like that, giving students the tools to regulate their own.
Did that work?
So when the power went out, they started breathing?
No, it was the 5 senses one, but
there's a ghost at the door.
yeah, well, the kids already think the building's haunted.
Did you know?
So, well, I mean, some of the teachers.
Was it in the works for a long time, or sort of unexpected?
Is that moving for next fall? Mayor. That's kind of nice to have this. And it's all relative, right? I was like,
It's been recording.
I didn't say
The company's been looking. They've looked. They want to do that.
For a long time. Like we were up in Chamonix Cafe, and it's just a great place up there, still connected.
Yeah, it's exciting to see where they all end up.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you're going to be the pro manager.
Yeah. It's super fun. I love hearing about what schools. I feel so impressed. I was looking for jobs. I looked at MSU. I was thinking about adjunct. And then I saw a rural navigator, and I rented this one.
And it's Central Montana. So the yoga part in the yoga is the geographical center.
I have a picture standing on
Environment is when they're out of the situation and they're calm, all of a sudden they start opening up, and especially the ones that are there frequently, you get a better, and that's why I had the best relationships, because I had the most fun. That's why, it's best friends, right? Why are you better friends with different people? Because you spend more time. But most people don't want to do that. They don't want to spend time. And that's the problem. Because of how you're viewing it, it's more personal. It is what really is going on. Because we don't like it. Misunderstanding.
Do you have a recommendation?
keep asking questions, and eventually they get them.
That makes me think of a story with our special ed director. So I wasn't at the high school last year. There was a student at the high school last year who ended up going to a different school, like the therapeutic school.
I just don't understand
His behavior was not great. I mean, it was pretty bad. And so he got a phone call, or got an email that he was going to be coming back to the high school. To me, I was like, I didn't know who it was. My assistant principal was like, okay, let's see how that goes. And I'm thinking, so the student comes back and ends up like taking classes before it's going to start. I literally
just those little things that like kept on
like gone a little smoother. Would have actually looked
just a tiny bit, you know, it would have gone a little bit smoother, you know, so that makes it like just a little bit more challenging now versus if the door was like there. Decided to do that. Same with like our cafeteria is our gym. And it's like, we call it a half gym, but it's really not. It's really like a floor, you know, because then we also have lunch tables. And so they just fold up, but like you don't have a half court even to then do something with. And then like our kitchen is also there, but it's not really a kitchen. It's like there's a fridge and one oven, like a freezer, and then like a morning.
Reject it, but most of the time, like I would wake up when we lived in Columbus, Ohio. I'd wake up and you have 20. You're just like, this looks good, and I would go do it. So, but I mean, they're always looking for folks, so it's not they're not going to be taking the time to even really care that much. I mean, I guess maybe in a smaller setting, maybe get out and I had, you know.
So alternative school leaves, it's only 4 hours.
Okay.
And really, because that's kind of the law for A and B for full-time attendance, it has to be 4 hours. So we do it 4 hours.
Okay.
We have one teacher in there, so it may be 8 to noon, and we may bring them in 10 to 2 kind of thing. We're exploring. So continuation schools in like in California, there's continuation schools. There's also state law that
Thank everyone here for your best wishes for education. Taking the time to converse, answer those questions, and sharing your experiences. It's been a great hour together, and we look forward to continuing this conversation next time. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone. Safe travels home.
Usually you're going to as you go.
A lot of you get your I remember last year.
had the same local track teacher. So she had her in the morning and I had her.
You decide that you wanted, you said that you don't have a
You're tired. I'm just gonna stop talking. I feel like she had like one of my students reframe. So like when she would tell those like stories like yeah, this sucks, she would also go like but and like she also was really great. I don't know, it was just like so encouraging. And there's like even
Yes. Team members. I'm not going to say totally relevant.